Let's ask the MPs if they're impressed. For the Conservatives, Manitoba Parliamentary Secretary James Bezan, and he's in Winnipeg. For the NDP, BC MP Ginny Sims, she's in Vancouver. And for the Liberals, Ontario MP Frank Scarpalagedia. I'm sorry, Frank. I always stumble over your names, and everybody else's too. And you're in Montreal. Okay, five-year funding for the RCMP of $150 million. Canada's Border Guards got $5.4 million over 5 years. That was announced today, although it had been budgeted in advance. Let's get the NDP reaction first. Ginny, is that necessary support, or do you see electioneering in the announcement?
Well, we've heard the RCMP saying that they're short on resources, and they've had to move resources around in order to just carry on doing the bare minimum in many of these areas. So we're glad to see that the government keeps re-announcing, but really it is a re-announcement of the same things. But one of the things is there's so little clarity around this money that they have announced, how much each year and how it's going to be spent. But also what concerns me is that this government has a habit of making announcements, enjoying the photo ops, and as we have seen, they're not spending the money so they can balance their books.
Okay, Frank Scarpalagedia, what do you take on this? I mean, it seems to me it's necessary if you're going to increase the powers of RCMP and Border Guards, you need to have the money to back it up.
Well, it was necessary even before the powers were increased, and so indeed it's a re-announcement, and you know, it obviously wasn't cobbled together. This announcement wasn't cobbled together at the last minute, just in reaction to what happened at Dorval a day ago. I mean, you know, the government has no doubt a communication strategy built around re-announced money. But what this announcement or re-announcement does is it begs the question, you know, why wasn't the money there in the first place? Why has the government waited so long to commit the resources that are required to fight terrorism when it's not a new phenomenon? You know, there were needs for additional resources before. So why, you know, it's really an admission that the government has not been committing the resources that it needs to address the problem.
Okay, James Bezan, did you fall short on funding before and you're just correcting a mistake?
Not at all. We've always had the resources there. We've increased spending through the RCMP and Border Services exponentially since we've come to power. Definitely there was a period of a couple of years there that we saw some minor setbacks, but where we're at right now, this is about making sure that the RCMP and Canada Border Service Agency and other intelligence agencies have the resources they need, not just over the next 5 years, but going forward from that, to ensure that they have the extra power for investigation, to look at these high-risk travelers, and more importantly is to ensure that what we just saw at Dorval, Montreal just a couple of days ago, that we have the ability to revoke those passports, to take possession of them, and prevent these individuals from going away and being radicalized. So as the Prime Minister said today, you know, it is unfortunate that individuals here, our youth, are being radicalized, that they're leaving the best country in the world and wanting to go and join these jihadist terrorists. You know, we definitely are thankful for the families that tipped us off on this to ensure that their loved ones stay here in Canada and stay safe.
I want to get your reaction, if I can go down the line on this. We just heard Besma Momani talk about we need more training on the ground. This is not a case where Canada can walk away. She thinks more military resources have to be dedicated. Otherwise, this military is going to keep turning and running. The Iraqi military and the Syrian army are going to just turn and run away at the first approach to ISIS. Ginny, is yours and your party's belief that we can just limit this to humanitarian relief being shaken by what's going on over there now?
What the government has committed us to in Iraq and Syria is not working. First of all, the government hasn't been upfront and straightforward with Canadians, and we've gone from mission creep to mission leap and all kinds of things. And what we're sort of saying is, if we really want to fight radicalization, if we really want to address the issues around our youth, well, the recent arrest of the intervention of the youth at Dorval proved that currently we have a system to do that. But I don't see the government spending money and allocating major resources to addressing issues right here at home around radicalization and working with our communities. And when it comes to the minister, just a day or two ago, Don, was very, very clear that our engagement was going very successfully, things were in control, and things were going as expected. And then, of course, last night, all this news breaks out that ISIS has made this huge, huge advance. So I think this is a time for the Canadian government to get back into the House of Commons and to have an open and honest debate and a dialogue about meaningful engagement and what we can really do.
Oh, good luck with that one, Ginny. But Frank, I want to get your thoughts on that, because the Liberals said we shouldn't be going into Syria, but ISIS now controls, as I was reading it, over half of Syria now. Shouldn't we be going in harder rather than sort of, limiting ourselves?
Well, we've always felt that the Prime Minister has not been upfront with his objectives in this conflict, and that there's no exit strategy, that things are a little bit improvised, I would say. And we've, felt that what we should be focusing on are things like airlift and training and humanitarian assistance. The government is trying to give an impression that everything is under control and moving in a straight line, and that we should all follow its lead. But what we're seeing is that, like in all wars, things get very messy. There are reversals, and so you can't afford to keep the country in the dark, and you can't afford to improvise. So I think the government has a lot to do in terms of transparency around this military intervention. But as I say, we believe that the Iraqi troops should be trained, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who have to react to what's going on the ground.
All right, James Bezan, last word to you on this one, because training is clearly not up to snuff. Should we be putting more training resources into Iraq particularly?
Well, as you know, Don, this mission provides for up to 69 Special Operation Forces to provide that training. They've done so in 66 different programs already and trained over 1,100 members of the Kurdish Peshmerga. But what we saw this weekend just talks to the overall situation on the ground, that Iraqi security forces still need more training. That's why we're there. That's why our coalition partners are there. And it also talks to the bigger issue that there's going to be gains and losses throughout this, but overall, you still have to look at the map. You have to look at populated areas, and the coalition has been able to regain over 25% of the territory, populated areas of Iraq that were previously held by ISIS. So we are seeing success. This was an unfortunate setback, but I'm proud of the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces who are both in the Kurdish region as Special Operation Forces members, as well as our air task force that's providing the air support to enable the Iraqi security forces, Kurdish Peshmerga, and other boots on the ground to do the job that needs to be done. It's going to be a long summer for sure.
Okay, thank you all. Appreciate you coming in and joining us from various cities you're in. Thanks again. Coming up.